Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Better Know a Highway, here on Virtual Road Trip, a series where we take a closer look at the interstates and highways that cross this vast country of ours. So in this long-awaited video, and I know it's been a little while since the last one, but hey, it's good to be back, we're going to look at something I like to call a segmented highway, or a highway still under major construction. One that stretches both on the East Coast as well as the upper Great Lakes region, Interstate 74. And real quick, just wanted to remind you to please like this video and subscribe to this channel if you haven't yet. Also, check out the VRT Discord, link is in the description below, and if you want to support this channel, you can join as a member by clicking the join button below, and we'll be shouting out our members at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. And now, let's get started. Interstate 74 is a highway that currently exists in two separated segments. One that is still under major construction within the state of North Carolina, and another to the northwest, stretching through the Great Lakes region within 4 states, although primarily through just 2. The eastern segment within North Carolina itself exists as 3 separate sections that currently add up to 125 miles in length, with major work being done to connect the segments together in the near future. Much of the soon-to-be interstate already exists as divided highways with U.S. route designations. Starting in the east, the first official segment is a relatively short distance, consisting of an upgraded section of U.S. Route 43, which itself is already a divided highway in this area. I-74's designation begins at a junction with North Carolina State Route 41, just southwest of the city of Lumberton, then heads in a generally northwest direction. Quickly after beginning, 74 has a junction with the major north-south running I-95, allowing drivers to travel north or south along the East Coast. Running for approximately 17 miles, this section officially ends at a junction with a local road known as Alt US Route 74. However, drivers would not notice this change, as the highway continues divided and to interstate standards, with the ending designation being a temporary technicality. Continuing along, US 74 and future I-74 eventually reaches a gradual turn to the north around the city of Rockingham. It's here where US 74 separates to continue west, while a new section of I-74 heading due north begins just a few miles away. A connection between these separate sections, which would continue the gradual turn to the north, is currently under construction, with a completion date in the near future. This project, once finished, will allow the shorter southern section of I-74 to continuously connect with the next north-south section, which follows the former corridor of US Route 220. This next section of I-74 officially begins at a junction with the aforementioned US Route 220, just north of Rockingham. It should also be noted that Interstate 73 also begins at this point. This other highway, which is also under major construction elsewhere, runs together with I-74 to the north. 74 winds its way through central North Carolina for another roughly 70 miles in a north-south orientation, passing through smaller cities such as Asheboro, North Carolina, then eventually reaching the Greensboro metro area, approaching from the south. On the city's southern outskirts, 74 separates from I-73, which itself heads into downtown Greensboro, while 74 bears west to bypass the city to the southwest and towards the neighboring city of Winston-Salem. This section of I-74, however, terminates just to its east at a junction with the long-running I-40. There is one final segment of currently designated I-74 that exists at the northern edge of the state. Currently, a new piece of I-74 is being built on the eastern side of Winston-Salem, and when completed, it will connect the large central segment of I-74 to a future section of the highway currently designated as North Carolina Route 41, which itself curves around the northeast of the city to meet up with US Route 52, which is another segment of the future I-74 and heads further in a northerly direction to the city of Mount Airy and the completed third segment. The last part of I-74 is only around 16 miles in length and begins at a junction with the aforementioned US Route 52. Wrapping around in a general northwestern turn, 74 has a junction with the north-south running I-77, beginning a concurrency that turns to the north and heads for the state line. Once there, I-77 continues north into Virginia. However, this border marks the end of the eastern segment of I-74 and its 125-mile run. The western segment of I-74 is a continuous thoroughfare in the Great Lakes region that runs for 415 miles through 4 total states, although primarily through just 2. Starting at the eastern end, this segment begins in the state of Ohio, more specifically just north of the city of Cincinnati, where it runs for just 19.5 miles, and begins at a junction with the long-running I-75. Heading west and briefly junctioning with I-275, the Cincinnati Beltway, I-74 eventually reaches the state border and crosses into Indiana. Crossing through the heart of the Hoosier State for a total of 171 miles, I-74 begins by tracing a western to northwestern path through the rural countryside of eastern Indiana, and passing through smaller cities such as Greensburg and Shelbyville. Running to the northwest, 74 does what most highways in Indiana do, and heads straight for the capital city of Indianapolis. Like spokes on a wheel, multiple highways meet at this city and reach the outer beltway. 74 does so from the southeast, and proceeds to run a concurrent path with I-465 around the southern side of the city. Having multiple junctions with major highways, and then passing the famous Indianapolis Speedway just to its west, I-74 soon leaves the beltway and continues on its northwesterly direction out of the city and its suburbs, and back into rural lands, this time in the western half of the state. Passing by more small towns and cities, such as Crawfordsville, and gradually turning due west, 74 reaches another state line, and this time enters Illinois. I-74 crosses through central Illinois from the eastern to the western border for 220 miles, in a generally northwest direction. Continuing its winding path through mostly rural areas, 74 passes places such as Danville and Champaign, Illinois, the latter of which is a location of the junction with I-57, before making a turn to the northwest and eventually curving a pass around the city of Bloomington. Here, 74 junctions with I-55 and has a brief concurrency with it as it passes the city to the west. Once on its own again, and back on its northwestern path, I-74 next reaches the city of Peoria and crosses the Illinois River to enter it proper. Cutting through the heart of the city, 74 creates a beltway along with its spur I-474 before exiting Peoria and heading back out into rural lands on the same northwest path. This changes abruptly near the city of Galesburg, where 74 makes a sharp turn to the north, cutting through the vast farmland to make its way to the Mississippi River and the Quad Cities region, its final area to traverse. Entering the area from the south, 74 first has a kissing junction with the transcontinental Interstate 80 and makes a sharp turn west to run concurrently with the spur I-280. After just a few miles, 74 makes another sharp turn, this time back to the north, and leaves I-280 to make its final stretch. First, passing the cities of Moline and Rock Island, 74 reaches and then crosses the Mississippi River, where it enters into its final state, Iowa, for a very short stretch of only 5 miles. Now across the river, and cutting between the other 2 cities of the area, Bettendorf and Davenport, 74 makes its final run through the suburban terrain before finally terminating at another junction with I-80, this time of the T variety. This thus ends I-74's western segment at 415 miles. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Better Know a Highway. Really hope you enjoyed, and it's definitely good to be back after a little bit of a layoff there. Hope to get my next video out a little bit sooner this time. But before you go, just want to remind you to please like this video and subscribe to this channel. I always appreciate that. Make sure to check out the VRT Discord. Link will be in the description below. And if you want to support this channel, you can join as a member by clicking the join button below. And a big shout out to all my members. I very much appreciate your support. Without you, this channel would not really be possible and would certainly take a lot longer to get videos out. So big shout out to all of you. And that's going to do it for this episode of Better Know a Highway. So make sure until next time that you enjoy the ride. Hey, up next, we're going to skip ahead a little bit to Interstate 71. And I'll see you then.